Howdy everybody, I'm Dev, and in this Godot tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to do this sort of transition type of thing where I first saw it in Five Nights at Freddy's. Now with that game, it's made in Click Fusion, and how they did it was they had the title screen on one scene, or I think they called it frame possibly, and the newspaper in another frame. And with Click Fusion you can just transition from one scene or frame to the next one through like a fade, like a crossfade. And I have been wanting to know how to actually do that, but there's also another game called Project Eden's Garden. That game used the Unity game engine. I actually don't know how you would do it in Unity, but I knew how to do it in Click Fusion, and now I know how to do a very similar effect in Godot. So here we have this scene, which is actually very similar to the scene that I had in my other video about me talking about why I love Godot so much. So we have the scene, and we also have a 3D scene, which basically has nothing in it, but because it's a 3D scene and this is a 2D scene, you will clearly see the fading from one 2D scene to the 3D scene. So in order to do this fading effect, we are first going to create another scene, and we're going to do a user interface, and we're just going to call this screenshot scene, because why not? And we're gonna yeah, that's actually completely fine. This is exactly what we want. And we're gonna create a texture rect, and we're just gonna call this just, you know, screenshot. And let's make this as big as the screen. There we go. And we're gonna save this, and we're gonna save it as screenshot scene. Yeah, let's just keep it like that. And now let's go ahead and go over to the project settings, globals, and since we're in the auto load, let's go ahead and go into this folder next to path and go over to screenshot scene right here, open up, and let's add it in. There we go. Save that. And before we do anything, let's go ahead and actually create a script for the screenshot scene, just so that we have a script for this scene. And let's create. There we go, we've got that now. But before we actually do anything in here, we're going to go back to the Node 2D scene, and inside of our Node 2D we've got this script on our Node 2D script, and we've got all of this. We don't actually need to worry about all of this. So I've now just gotten rid of all of that because we don't even need all of that. But what we are going to need is we're going to need a function to get the image from our viewport, because that's what you're doing. Because you're taking a screenshot, you're getting the data from the image, and we are getting the image from the viewport image, and we're going to convert that into an image. So in order to do that, we're going to do func, and we're going to just say get display data, and we're going to do await rendering server dot, I think it's post. Wait, no, what was it again? Apparently it's frame post draw. I very rarely use this. I very rarely write this, so I don't specifically know what it does, but all I know is that it's helpful for doing this type of function. So now what we need to do is let's just do a new variable, and let's call it let's call it viewport texture, because that is essentially what and the type of data that we're going to be getting. And then we're going to do colon and an image to, give it a type. And then we're going to do equals get viewport dot get texture dot get image. And now here is the important part, because you can do this two ways. And the first way that I'm gonna give to you guys is viewport texture dot save PNG, or you can do, save JPEG. It doesn't really matter. I think if you do save PNG, it makes the image bigger in file size, and I think with JPEG or JPG, it makes the image less file size. I mean, with PNG, it means you have, transparency, and JPEG, you don't have transparency, like we all know that. But I think, PNG makes it bigger file size, so it depends on what you want to do with your game as to like the size of the resources and the size of the files that you're using in your game. But for now, we're going to keep with save PNG, and we're going to do quote user colon slash slash screenshot dot PNG. And that is kind of all you have to do when it comes to saving the image. Now, in order to actually load the image, we want to go over to the screenshot scene now, and we want to do function load texture, and here we're going to do var loaded texture. I mean, the variable name is completely up to you what you want to put. This is just like an example of like what you might want to put. Then we do equals image dot load from file, and then we're going to put in user. Well, we're going to put in the same file path name, screenshot dot PNG, and now we're going to do var texture is equal to image texture dot create from image, and we're going to put in loaded texture. And now all you need to do is just get the reference from the screenshot up there and just type in $screenshot dot texture and then assign texture to it. And that's pretty much all you need to do with loading the texture. Now, in order to actually access these functions, well, when it comes to this function, all we need to do is just like, let's just do await get tree dot create timer 2 seconds timeout, and then we will get display data, and then we can like do another await, because if you do things like instantly, then it may not be particularly safe to do specific actions. So it's always good to have another timer in order to make sure that things are done in a safe manner. But we don't want to make it wait any more time. So we'll just do 0.5, and then we can do get tree dot change scene to file, and then no 3D, like just like that. But of course, that on its own is not going to do anything, because if I just play this scene, and yeah, there's literally like no fade, like none of it is going to happen just yet. So in order to actually get the scene to fade, we have to communicate a little bit with other scripts. And in order to do that, we need to create a signal. And let's just call this signal loaded text. Loaded texture. Let's do it like that. And in the ready function, we're going to do loaded texture dot connect and then put load texture in there, just like that. So now in this script, this is the no 2D and not the screenshot scene. In this script, we are going to, just after the 0.5 timer, we are going to call the screenshot scene dot emit signal, and it's called loaded texture. So now, once the timer times out, it will emit that signal, so then this will also load. But right now, what it's going to do is it probably won't actually, well, it will change the scene to that file, but we probably might not be able to actually see any difference because we've just loaded the texture. So it might just stay on that screen, right? As you can see, nothing is happening, even though this change scene to file is happening. But we have loaded the texture. All we need to do now is just fade it out so that we don't see the texture. We just see the 3D scene. So in order to do that, now we just need to create a fade out. So function fade out, and then all we need to do is just create a var tweet, or let's call it fade out tween equals create tween, and let's do fade out tween dot tween property, and let's put in the screenshot, and then let's do quotes modulate, because what this is going to do is going to change the alpha value of our texture from completely visible to transparent. So now we are going to put in color dot transparent, and I mean the timing is completely up to you, but I'm going to put in 2 for 2 seconds, and that is like pretty much it. You literally could like leave it like that, because now if we go ahead and do this, it should fade out. It should. It's not fading out yet, huh? Oh right, yeah, because I completely forgot that I actually need to call the function. I can't believe I didn't even do that. That's actually. Oh wait, don't call the function here though. Call the function in your node 3D in your next scene, because if you call the function from your screenshot scene, then I mean it will fade immediately, but only fade it once your scene has loaded. So we need to actually create a script for this 3D scene, called it node 3D, why not? And now in this ready function, we're going to call screenshot scene dot. I don't think it's gonna allow me to call out. Wait, what was it called again? Fade. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna allow me to call fade out, but we can try that. It works. And here I thought that all you needed to do is create another signal to say, oh, well, I mean, you could, if you wanted to, you could create another signal called scene loaded. And once this signal is called, you can then connect it up to fade out. There we go. And then in the node 3D, all you need to do is just emit signal scene loaded, and then it will just, oh wait, we're already on the scene. If you call that signal, it will just fade out. just like that. Like, although to be fair, why is there no? I mean, I've put the light and the environment in there, but for some strange reason, wait, is it because there's no camera? That's gotta be why, right? Let's go. We got it in the hood. Now, once again, you could leave it there because that's completely like 100% fine. You could just leave it there, or you could add extras to it. And what I mean extras is if you want to absolutely 100% make sure that you have loaded a texture and then you want to check to make sure that the texture actually is saved before you actually move to the next scene, you could, if you wanted to, you could put just before the scene changes to the 3D scene, you can put in if file access dot file exists user / screenshot dot png. If that file actually exists, you can put it like that. And of course, like if it doesn't exist, you can put else and print like, you know, error, like if it doesn't work out. You could do that because then if we try it now, I mean, there's nothing going to be printed because it works perfectly out of the box. But if you wanted to make sure that the texture is, you know, loaded, you could do it this way. Now, because the screenshot is actually being saved to your user data folder right here, and I mean, if you want to like remove it once it's made, you could go over to your screenshot scene, and once it's faded out, you could do await fade out tween dot finished, and then once that's done, you can do if file access dot file exists user screenshot.png, and if it does exist, you can do direct access dot remove absolute, well, the same file path. Because what this will do is once the animation, once the tween of the fade out is done, the file will just be removed. Because as you can see here, because we've created the file and it's stored here, we have not removed it. So once we have gone through the scene and it fades out, and once it's done fading out, we can then go ahead and come out of that, go back to the folder, and it's completely gone. And let's just try this again, make sure that it's all working completely properly. And it is. Like, you can do this pretty much 99% of the time and it will work perfectly. Now, another way to do this is by using resources. And this way that I just shown you is by saving it to the file system, and depending on if you want to, the way that I've shown you is probably like the easiest way to do it. But if you want to save it somewhere that is not particularly visible to anybody that's like outside of the game, you could save it as a resource, and to do that we would have to do something, you know, a little bit differently. So in order to save as a resource, all you would need to do is inside of this get display data, I don't know if this is still needed, but just in case, like, keep it. And instead of the viewport texture here, all you would need to do is do var texture equals image texture dot create from image, and I think we put in viewport texture. And now we do resource saver dot save, and then put in texture, and then do a comma, and then put in quotes res for resources //screenshot.tres, not PNG, but TRES, because TRES means texture resource. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and go over to the screenshot scene, and instead of the load texture, all we need to do is actually take away all of this and put in resource loader.load, and just simply put resource //screenshot.tres, and then in here just put in loaded screenshot, and that's pretty much it. So now let's just make sure that we have got this all correctly. Before we do anything, instead of file access, we need to actually change this to if resource loader.exists, and put in here res //screenshot.tres. And also do the same for the screenshot scene. Down here, file access, remove this and instead put, the same thing. And then after that, all you have to do is just take the user part out in this direct access remove absolutes. Take the user part out and put in res and replace the PNG with TRES. That is all you need to do. And now, hopefully things are working okay. So let's go ahead and try this out. Hopefully I've got everything, working perfectly. And I do. Perfect, just like that. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually see where this screenshot is being saved, but technically, it's been saved down here in the resources part. But because we are automatically removing the file once we've done the tween, it won't show up. But if I go ahead and do pass here and comment out the remove absolute, and now if I just play this once again, and then we'll do this lovely fade out. And now if I come out of this, as you can see down here, we've got a screenshot.tres. Now, the reason why you have to do screenshot.tres and not PNG is because it's specifically made for the resources file structure. If you just save a screenshot as a JPEG or PNG in the resources section, technically it does still save, because I've tried this before. It does still save and it does recognize it. But if you create the PNG and then you try to load it, well, if you create the PNG and you ask Godot to try and access the PNG once it's created in the resources file system, it will struggle to find it because it's not a resource file. It will only recognize it instantly if it's a resource file. That is why you need to change the file format from PNG to TRES. I hope that this will make sense. So that is pretty much it for this tutorial. I know it's a very, very small, tiny thing, but because ever since I have seen where games can just fade from like one thing to another, it's a really, really cool thing to do, and I never understood how to do it. I thought that you could just, crossfade from one thing to another, but you just simply can't do that unless you have both scenes active at the same time. And with one scene, you can just fade out the modulation because it's fading out. The other scene will just, appear. So technically, the whole crossfade is just one scene fading out and the other scene already being active, but you're not really fading into it, you're just fading out of the other scene. So I hope that this tutorial does make sense to a lot of people and they understand what is happening. I don't fully understand every single bit of the detail from the coding what's happening, but I understand like the fundamentals of what is happening, so that's good. But anyway, hope this was helpful, and if you enjoyed, then please do leave a like, and I'll see you all very next time. Peace out, everybody.